Hello, my name is Ilona, and today is Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it depends on your perspective. I had another night where I was wide awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, fell asleep at like 4 or 5 in the morning, I'm a little bit broken. Yesterday evening was incredible with my parents. I really enjoyed the food and their company, but I'm not as yesterday I was really like off, like feeling this like I was in some kind of dream state. So today I feel much more grounded in that way. But it was in a way probably necessary. I just felt what was the feeling that I was feeling at that time, experiencing it. I always feel like, it has a reason why things are happening this way. But again, I had very vivid dreams somewhere else now, completely, again, did not recognize it in anything that I've experienced before. But it was very interesting. Interesting things are apparently happening in the dream state. And first, I want to take a look at what I thought was very interesting. People are obviously asking me in China, well, if Mr. X is part of the White Hats, why is there so much control still going on there? That has to do with, of course, the party that's been around and that's very, very dark, trying to gain control or keep their control. And they are, of course, pushing back. And so there are still things going on in China itself to clean up the country and the people involved. They are draining the swamp there as well. What I found interesting yesterday, I shared a clip of Mr. P from Russia being asked questions by the Russian media, and I was kind of like, they were, let's just say, very disrespectful, the people from the media. They kept asking the similar same question. And I have to say, Mr. P was very cool. He reacted very calmly. And the first question was about that the Western media were reporting that he fell and he soiled himself. And so that was the first question. And Mr. P was like, well, that's fake news, because who said that? Well, next question. I do not respond on irrelevant questions, something like that. And the next person, again from the media, same thing. If you need to use a diaper, how can a strong man lead against Ukraine if he has to wear a diaper? I was just like, well, they're laying it on thick here to really be as disrespectful as possible. And I thought that was interesting. Of course, he just remained as cool as can be. And at the end, he was like, you know what? When you get to the front line, we will see who needs a diaper. Something in that vein, what he said. So I thought that was a good way to end this all. But I was like, hey, the media there in Russia is not really pro Mr. P. And I think it's similar that in Russia, of course, they had that entire experiment called communism there. And the dark energies have tried all these things to see what was the best way to gain control over people. So they tried all these experiments, all these ideology, and it was perfect to divide and conquer. They love divide and conquering. So they had all these ideologies obviously opposing each other. Perfect way to create war and things like that. But they were also looking at seeing how people would respond to it and how they can gain full control. They've been working on this for a very long time. So in Russia, and of course also China, there is of course this communist system, which is very much about control, full control over everyone. Pretty much means that no one owns anything, and they should be happy about that. So everyone is working, and no one's really gaining anything from it, except of course the heads of the party. They gain a lot of wealth, but the normal person didn't have any wealth at all. So I just want to take a look at the media in Russia. Just see what the energy is there. Because it's very possible that still in Russia, a lot of dark energies need to be dealt with. That's probably why a lot of Russian billionaire, kind of left the earth plane in all kinds of weird ways for quite some time. It's almost every month there was a Russian, the billionaire dying off somewhere. It was very strange, all in these very strange circumstances. So we're just going to take a look at the energy of the media in Russia. Let's see, yes, the 5 of Wands. the Wheel of Fortune for the central card. We have the Five of Pentacles in the past, the Three of Swords underneath the central card, the Five of Cups in the near future, and the Ace of Wands. I also kind of pulled this card. So this is the 7. Oh, and I'm looking at the military. Well, that's the Emperor card to me. That's the military. So that's interesting. Let's see. This is the extra card. That's the 7 of Cups. So I'll place it near the Ace of Wands. So to me, there's a lot of fighting going on. I do think there's still dark energies there, especially when you look at the questions being asked. They kept asking the same question over and over again, and Mr. P wasn't going to have it. He remained as calm as possible. So I do believe there are still dark energies there as well that need to be dealt with. Just because the leader of a certain country is part of the white hat agenda, whether he's still there or not, I'm not going to get into this. It's very possible that he's been replaced, Mr. P, because the real Mr. P was an awful man. He was part of the dark energies. So most certainly he's been replaced. And doesn't mean that the entire country is already free. It just means that someone in control is kind of, working through another agenda, a white hat agenda. So there is a lot of infighting in the media in Russia themselves. So I do believe there are still dark energies there. There's a lot of old pain as well. Probably has to deal also with the entire system that being put on them. It was incredibly strict. They've been living under some kind of, with the communism, with Stalin, with all these awful people that really push the Russian people to the edge. You can of course look at China, that the Chinese people have been really pushed to the limit, but also in certain time periods in Russia, what they've done to the Russian people, starving them, putting in all these places, shipping them off, and I mean shipping in all these work camps, and it's been awful. So there's a lot of old pain involved that. Maybe there are still people very distrustful of Mr. P as well, because he has been part of that system as well. Things are changing also in the media in Russia. So things are changing. And that's a good thing, but there is still a lot of pain to be dealt with, a lot of disappointment, a lot of pain with the people in Russia that have experienced all these things. There's just a lot of sadness, and I have to say, of course, that's how I see things, that especially Russian people always have this almost sadness around them, probably because of a lot of things that happen to the country, to the people. They have this melancholic point of view, so to speak. Maybe that's not entirely true, but that's how I view them in a way. There's a lot of sadness there. That's the feeling I'm getting. A lot of sadness that needs to be dealt with also in the media. But there's going to be a new energy coming in. But still, it's not completely clear who's working for what and what agenda is being followed. So that's very interesting. I do believe that most of the people are behind Mr. P in Russia, but there's still some dark energies trying to create chaos, trying to create, this divide and conquer feeling. People are more distracted by other things, so that's why there's sometimes still false flags going on. I do believe in certain areas that the dark energies still have some kind of stronghold. It's not, of course, the country itself, but certain places, maybe certain mayors that still have some influences there. But it's falling apart. A new energy is coming in. But there's still some confusion going on. So I think even for the Russian people, it is confusing what's really going on. Especially, of course, for outsiders when we're looking into this country. A lot of things have been... how do you say this? Not a lot of things have come out. Not a lot of truths have come out. So it's very confusing sometimes to fully understand what's really going on in the country. But I do believe that the military are in control there. The white hats are in control there because of Mr. P, of course, following the white hat lead. Doesn't mean there are no dark energies anymore. They're still there. They need to be dealt with. They need to drain the swamp there as well. So I thought that was very interesting. The second thing I really want to take a look at, but that's just a curiosity from myself, what is happening with time? It's almost completely speeding up. And I've had someone mention that this has to do with the fourth dimension, and time will, of course, ultimately fall apart because it is man-made. But it's almost like it's speeding up. It's days just go by like it's nothing. I'm just even amazed we're already in December, and there's something with time, and I just find this interesting. So I just want to see what the cards will have to say about time itself. What's going on there? We have the Six of Wands, the central card. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Sun in the past. We have the Knight of Swords underneath the central card. We have the Ten of Wands for the near future, the future, and the Magician. Oh, this is very interesting. This feels like it is speeding up. It's like it's almost in another. I remember these summers when I was young that could just take eternity, and now everything is just so fast. You just start on Monday and you just, I say, we say in Dutch, you just wink a little bit and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, it's already Friday, it's already Sunday. It's just in a blink of an eye, it's just moving fast. So this is the Knight of Swords, this fast energy. I do believe it is going somewhere. It's probably changing very much. It's man-made. We're going to a different time. Maybe not even a time, it's more of an experience. The Ace of Cups is a new beginning. So we will experience time in a completely different way in the new world. And we're already starting to feel this. We're already starting to feel this process. And we ultimately, it's almost like a victory on time. We will take back time. We will make it our own. And I think that's very important because ultimately there's just now. That's it. There's now. And really, there's not really a past and there's not really a future. It's just the now moment over and over and over again. It's very interesting if you think about this. We've really invented time. Ultimately, it doesn't really exist. We do, of course, cycles, but of course, cycles can change as well. It's a very different way of looking at things. So we're going to look very differently at time, but there's going to be a new beginning time-wise. It will be more about connection, about experiences, instead of looking at what is the time, what time do I have to be there. It's not like we're slave to time anymore. They've really created this system of time. And if you look at it, it's in a way just to control people, to know exactly where they should be at a certain time. Of course, it's being sold as you know, well, then everyone knows where we have to be at that time. It's good for us to know if you want to have public transport or other things, you know, at least know the time, you know, when to be there. But it's also a system to enslave us, to keep us in this loop, to keep us, you know, you wake up, you go to work, you get home from work, you make, you know, your food, your meals, or do groceries or shopping or whatever, and then you watch TV and then you go to sleep again. It is a perfect system to keep people in this programming, which started at a very young age with school. Children are already programmed that you have to be at a certain time, at a certain place, and that you have to follow those orders, so to speak. It's really a training in obedience. The schooling system as we have it right now, I'm sure there are different alternative schooling systems, more independent, but the most, you know, the basic school system is really programming children to obey, to be there at a certain time. So it's still, it will feel like it is collapsed, and I do believe that some people will experience this. It's heavy. Sometimes it's like, what's going on with time? So it can feel a bit heavy, but ultimately it will bring us into our own power and our own strength. So we can take it back. The Magician is about taking back our own power and creating it in a way that's comfortable to us. So in a way that supports us. So it will be about experiences. sharing, bonding, connecting, instead of living by the clock, have something outside of ourselves, tell things, I think will be way more intuitive. So if we need to speak to someone telepathically, ultimately I believe it will be telepathically, people will know, and then we will intuitively know where to be. We don't really need a watch for that. We don't need something outside telling us what we should be doing. So this is a return to our inner strength and our inner power. But it can feel sometimes like, what is going on with time? It can feel, because we are still transforming from this 3D world to, of course, I think a lot of us are already in 4D, and that's why you have this kind of struggle. Your body, of course, has to change, to, how to say this, adjust as well. So the adjustment will take some time. It will sometimes feel like, what is going on? It can be massive, but ultimately it will put us back into our power. So we can really start looking at time in a completely different way and start connecting. And that's what this is about: connection with ourselves, with God, and start manifesting that. We will conquer time. I'll leave it at this. I hope to see you in another video.